In early 2017, for some very weird reason, the Fannibals wanted to put on, as a show, at Red Dragon Con 3, a musical. A Hannibal related musical. Which they tried to claim was original or something, but literally all of the songs were just parodies of popular rock songs or Disney songs, with the lyrics changed to be about Hannibal and Will being in love.
Well, I know you chase murderers, freaks, hand them over to Jack, then jail. Boy, you're in luck 'cause of my sleeves. I got a brand of power that never fails. I see some potential in your mind, not just a little push, you'll turn my way. It'll take some time, drugs, lies, and house. See, all I gotta do is feed your fear, and I'll say, Mr. Will Graham, sir, what will your design be? Let me make the best of your illness now. You ain't never had a friend like me.
It was very, very heavy on the Hanagram themes. Also, Clarice Starling was in it for some reason, despite never being in the show. From what I recall, and don't hold me to this because it was a long time ago, the Fannibals had done this once before, maybe, at a different Red Dragon Con, or they planned to. The point is that this musical was planned out and written all before 2017. It really started in 2016, maybe at earliest 2015, but the idea had been floating around out there for a bit. I remember because I also remember how stupid I thought it was. A lot of people did. Namely because there's already a real Broadway musical based on Hannibal, which is like 900 times better than this. So people were like, why the hell are you doing this? It's super cringe, or whatever people said back in 2015. That didn't stop these people from doing it anyway, and I'm very glad you can't die from secondhand embarrassment, or else this musical would be lethal to everyone outside of this fandom. Also, probably about 90% of people in the fandom, because, as I said, a lot of people thought it was really stupid. For Red Dragon Con 3, they wanted to perform this live, because Bryan Fuller was going to be there, and I think also Hugh Dancy. I'm not positive, and I don't really feel like checking, but I know Bryan Fuller was going to be there, which is why they made such an issue of performing this live for him. I don't know how anyone could have taken part of this in front of Bryan Fuller and thought that it wasn't terrible, but a bunch of people did. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. In order to perform this weird musical, which was just a ripoff of songs people didn't write themselves, they decided they needed to have a lyric booklet printed up to give everyone at the convention so they could follow along. So then they made this Kickstarter for it, which somehow was successfully funded. They were asking for about $260, this is converted from euros, and they ended up getting $677 from 49 backers. For a booklet of lyrics that were of stolen parody songs from Disney and not even that well performed. To be fair, from what I've listened to, there was one really good singer, and I feel super bad that she wasted her time and talent with this when it seems like she could have legitimately had a better chance not doing this and going to make a career for herself. Maybe she did later, I don't know. Everyone else's alleged singing was atrocious. Now, I know that it seems like I'm complaining about a big nothing burger because what's the problem with really weird fans raising about $700 for a lyric booklet to give out at a cringeworthy musical that was going to be performed for Bryan Fuller at a Hannibal convention? Well, not much. It's stupid and incredible that it got funded, but that's not my problem. My problem is what this led to, which is a scam that is going on to this very day. As you can see on this Kickstarter, the original account that created the fundraiser was deleted. They just became a different account. Since they decided this musical was super successful, and I'm not sure what they were basing this on since it was free to watch if you were at the convention and you didn't have to buy into the Kickstarter to get the booklet since it was available online for free and free to every member of the convention anyway, there's no real way for them to judge how successful any of this was. Whatever happened here, the girl who put it together thought the next best idea would be to make a movie. A Hannibal musical crack movie. So she put together a Kickstarter. Now she's French and there's no way I could ever correctly pronounce her name, so I'll just call her May, but this is how it's spelled. She was, and still is, the person behind this. There were other people on the team, but over time it seemed like she was the only one updating anyone on anything, and she also seems to be the only one still making updates. I don't know if the other two are still around or what, I just know that she's the face of the project. I also know that she was asking for almost $11,000 for this project. If you want to get into semantics, what the Kickstarter says is 10,000 euros, but converted to USD, that's $10,799.71. For some really ungodly reason, this was successfully funded for 11,046 euros, or nearly $12,000 USD. By 279 people who thought this was a good idea. Now, before you get on my ass about how people can spend their money how they want, even if it's for really stupid things like this, I don't disagree. I think that if people want to pay stupid amounts of money for a very poorly produced indie musical movie, they are completely free to do that. My complaint comes in with the fact that this movie was never actually made despite being fully funded, which technically makes it a scam. Well, maybe that's not the case, but to me, there are reasons it seems like a scam, which I'll get into in a bit. Back in 2017, the Kickstarter claims that the movie would take several months to film, almost a year. Except for the fact that, well, it's now been 7 years and all anyone has gotten in return for their money is 2 poorly produced music videos of songs that are supposed to be in the musical.
You see, before that, my life was still. Then I met Will and he's sweet but fucked up. Cute but too unstable.
And then some update videos by May herself.
Hi, I'm May. We really hope that you had a great summer, a great year, really, because I have not spoken to you in a year. And I know that many of you must have wondered, like, what the fuck is going on? We have received some complaints about that.
The Kickstarter also says that the reason they needed this money was to film on location at the actual spots in Europe that Hannibal was filmed, and from what they have produced, that hasn't been true at all. It looks like it was just filmed in someone's house.
Happened quickly, Will became someone else. Tried to kill my boyfriend, but now they seem just fine. For whatever that means.
And then they also said that they would use the money to buy authentic Hannibal props and costumes so that the actors could wear the real clothes from the show, as if that makes it worth the money. This is where the scam part comes in, because May did buy props and costumes from the actual show, and then kind of shut up for a long ass time and didn't make a movie. So I kind of started to wonder, was this like some huge scam for her to be able to buy these props for her own collection? And even if it wasn't, at the end of filming, who gets to keep these props? I'm going to say May. I don't know if that's the answer for certain, but since she's the one who's keeping all of them in her house and doing all the updates, and that's where they've been for the past 7 years, to my knowledge, it really does seem like this was an attempt to get the fandom to fund her ability to get authentic merchandise from the show and maybe a few different vacations to various locations in Europe.
I am playing Will Graham in the musical, and this little nugget is playing a dead bird. So now for the big change. Some of you already know that we had to recast our Hannibal actor. Ellen left the project and Big Joe introduced me to this lovely guy, Stefan, who is playing Hannibal Lecter.
Now, if you look at the Kickstarter, they've only had 20 updates in 7 years, which is concerning, especially since they have provided literally nothing that they actually promised, other than a few teaser videos or something.
And so I stare at them when we're dining together, trying to figure out what's between them and I. I'm feeling a little confused now.
To show what's supposed to be in the movie, and even then, that took years for them to do. As you can see, the first few updates were about almost reaching their goal, and then the last one for that year was that they had reached their goal. The next one comes an entire year later with an apology about how they are sorry they basically haven't done shit that they promised, and they aren't working on the timeline that they promised to do it in. This also came with a very long video made by May with some explanation as to why things were taking forever, with other stuff included, and she changes her costume several times for some reason. About 2 weeks later, there's another update about how they have some issues with editing, and yet another video to go along with it. The next 2 updates are from January 2019 and then December 2019. So yeah, a whole ass second year passed where they hadn't really provided anything, including proof that they were actually really working on this musical. By the end of December 2019, they had finally, after 2 years, produced a clip of one of the songs that was supposed to be in the musical. A 1 minute and 43-second clip that they also point out was filmed the year before that in London, if that's even true. I don't really know, as there's no way to tell what the setting is other than someone's dining room. There was one more clip released to their YouTube channel after that point, and then nothing.
Ah! You know fucking what? I'm still going strong.
No updates at all until March 2021. I guess you could whine about the fact, but there was a pandemic and lockdown and they couldn't do anything during that. Well, say that all you want, but in 2017 they promised on their Kickstarter that at most it would take a year to film, and if I want to be super generous, I could say for whatever reason it would take them 2 years to edit, and that still gives them more than enough time to do what they promised before the lockdown. There really isn't the excuse of the pandemic here, because this was supposed to already have been finished. The very next update after the one from March of 2021 was April of this year. So 3 years without an update, just radio silence. I do know there are some people still questioning where their money went and when they're going to get their rewards, but not 279 people, so I guess a good portion of the people who threw their money at this either forgot that they paid for it entirely or just don't fucking care that what was promised never arrived. Once again, I don't get how these people aren't being sued or yelled at all the time for taking as long as they have to do literally anything that they promised, but here we are. The last update from this year, from May, was in July. Nothing since then. The last public video they provided was from 4 years ago.
Remember Tobias, it was a lot of fun, but it didn't make it past season 1. Beverly Cats was part of the crew, but you never made it past season 2.
They have an Instagram account, but it's for backers only for some reason, even though they have already said they intend to post the full musical online when they finish it, which seems like it's just never going to be finished. But that's also supposed to be posted for free, So I don't understand why they have an Instagram account only for backers. Either way, only 47 people are following that account, so that means 232 people who gave this train wreck of a project money either aren't paying attention to it, forgot about it, or don't care anymore.
The great white dragon was hard, you say. Another favorite that ended up dead.
Though they did provide 2 clips that are private videos on their account to prove they are still working on this, there's really never been a full explanation as to why it's taken them 7 years to produce this. It's just excuse after excuse, as you can see in this video where May rambles on and on about why everything is so slow and taking so long.
And we hope that she didn't freak out too much about what has your money become. We are extremely late with basically everything. My life for the past, 9 months have been a roller coaster of lateness, and well, I don't feel proud.
So what exactly is this? A scam? A poorly planned production? A poorly planned scam? To be honest, at this point, with so few people even trying to hold them slightly accountable for not doing what they promised, and when they do, they're being way too nice about it, I have the feeling that May could just keep lying to them forever about why the movie hasn't been finished, and they'd all forgive her or just eventually give up trying to see if it'll happen. I also am pretty sure that May is hoping that this will eventually be the case so she can just keep everything she bought with their money and never have to do any work to make up for it or have any accountability. But what do I know? Maybe they'll prove me wrong and create an amazing musical movie. But if these existing clips are anything to go on,
You thought that I would never survive.
You said he was a killer, now he's your best friend. Should I go away? Am I in your way? Will I scream from the top of my lungs? What's going on?
When I was sane, so much saner than today, I would refuse, everybody is happy in every way.
I really, really doubt it.